Ahoy there, mateys! Welcome aboard the Riff, Raff podcast. We are the pirates of the neuro-spicy waters. Come along with us and hoist the sail. We're navigating life through story and tale. We'll help you embrace the way you're wired, sharing laughs and lessons to get you inspired. If you join us, we will help you see there are a lot of ways to sail the neuro-spicy sea.
Yeah, check that beard, buddy.
It's disappearing.
It's disappearing. You do. Good morning and welcome to Across the Desk and our Riff Raff podcast. And we're currently discussing personal appearance, and Santa's struggling with a lot of sensory issues.
Santa's literally not all there.
Santa's literally missing. All good.
Just not feeling myself today.
Well, so, folks, for context, as Paul sips from his Santa mug, I've known Paul now for, 6 years. And never has he ever shown up to any kind of meeting in a black t-shirt. And it's much like when Maddie shaves their beard. It just gives me issues. So yesterday...
The background's gone.
All good. Paul joins a meeting, black t-shirt, freaks me the hell out. I did not ask them to change, but very kindly went and put a shirt on. So we show up today for the podcast, and Paul's in the freaking black t-shirt. I'm like, what are you trying to do?
It was a different black t-shirt.
What color was it, Paul?
It was a black t-shirt, but it was my other black t-shirt. Just so that people don't think I'm wearing the same shirt every day.
Out of 2 black shirts that he owns, he chooses the 2 black. Not that I have any control or say over a grown man's wardrobe. All I mentioned was it was freaking me out.
It's slimming, I've heard.
I need to wear 3 then. That won't.
Of course that you do.
Of course I do. I need to wear multiple black t-shirts, and that will fix the issue.
When we're talking about corsets, speaking about LARPing.
Okay, so we're going to start off with a couple of stories. Our topic for today is watershed moments. And there's been a few, but we've had a couple of fun things happen in the last, and Paul's like, deep sigh. So we are starting a new initiative called Nimble ND Connect. And I think we've mentioned it before, but if we haven't, you can check it out on the Spiro Canada website. It is something that Maddie and I talked about for years. It started out as social con. It's morphed with the influence of lived experience. And so Nimble ND Connect is specifically designed to be a safe space for people who are neurodivergent to connect, learn, and realize they're not alone in the neurodivergent community. And the topic of LARPing came up. And it happened to be that night that one of Paul's children joined us on Nimble ND Connect. And there was some comments made about LARPing. And for context, as Paul said, if you didn't catch the clue, Paul is a professional Santa Claus. Maddie, what was the term you came up with?
The Arctic LARPer.
The Arctic. So Paul tries to nay on the LARPing on Nimble ND Connect, but there's 3 of us, plus one of their children who are aware of their secret identity.
Or not so secret identity.
So we were all killing ourselves, and he had strong opinions about LARPing, and meanwhile, he's got 5 Santa costumes.
Not one.
Not one.
Not 3. Not 4.
But is it LARPing if it's a job? I don't know.
Don't even. No. Put it down.
I'm giving him a string of sanity here. Just a little small thread to hold himself on, to pull him out of the...
baby.
Chief Minion says no.
I'm giving that a vasectomy. No.
Half off today.
I can feel it.
Paul has a traditional gourd, and I must say, Paul, stunning Santa. So we are picking on
Yeah,
him
yeah.
with love because Paul absolutely shines.
Yes.
And I mean this with all sincerity as a Santa. One of the kindest, sweetest, and like even the eyes are like Santa eyes. You look at Paul
Yeah.
and he's just, I mean, I wouldn't want to piss him off because he's 6'3", but kind, sweet. So we have a
You say
traditional.
you wouldn't want to piss him off, yet.
But you.
But I continue because I'm not going to see Paul until Saturday. So Paul has
Hold a
a
grudge.
traditional velour gorgeous suit, a less fancy Santa suit, a trades, and I might add 2 different shirts for the trades Santa suit. And then there's also the chef Santa, and then there's disco Santa.
Is there Hawaiian Santa?
Not yet,
Not
but I'm
yet.
on it.
Coming soon.
Yeah.
Because Trade Santa, I bought Paul a tiny elf-sized red and silver hammer and a snowflake screwdriver tool, and like it was, I don't know. Did I buy the? No, you bought your own apron. Yeah.
Then there's the AI leather Santa.
Oh, there's the Santa skipping through the forest with no pants on. I don't have any. That's strictly AI. That's no evidence that Paul skips through the forest with no pants on.
You're seeing Paul on Saturday, Elizabeth.
And Paul's like, why are you doing this to me? We work together.
I can't breathe.
The digital footprint goes crazy.
So, no. and Santa's gone full Invisible Santa again.
So the sign of good leadership is the fact that teams feel comfortable. Or the leader does anyway. Anyway,
Yesterday was anti-bullying day.
it's over.
Yeah,
I
That
know.
was yesterday. Not
that was
today.
exactly. Yes, and I did wear pink yesterday, but a different pink T-shirt. We'll have you know.
I'm used to you in pink, so that's fine. But Paul in
Yeah,
black.
pink and purple. Yeah, but I do wear green at conventions and like Comic Cons and St. Patty's Day. Green Lantern.
Is you're secretly a leprechaun? Something me.
But
I'm a little afraid. Well, I know
Arr.
that. I mean, that's a given.
No, I wear green on St. Patty's Day, which makes sense. But I also wear green to Comic Cons because I love Green Lantern.
I was about to say you're the rolling Green Lantern.
Exactly.
Okay, got it. Needed.
I actually prefer pink, the pink Starfire
Yes, you can
lanterns,
find your
but that's a
pink.
whole
Okay,
other thing.
We're rabbiting. I'm rabbiting. And so then
This has been a whole series of rabbit holes.
you're not wrong. So last night we hosted our second Love on the Spectrum event, which was an opportunity, and I have a funny update for the team, which is an opportunity for individuals who are neurodivergent to meet with the production team of Love on the Spectrum, who are looking for people from Canada to join the cast. And so if you're listening to this, we do have a waiting list. Timestamp, today's February 26th. So if it's April, sorry, too late. But I got an email from one of the participants who I followed up with, and they're like, I never signed up for this. I'm like, it's a pretty deliberate process to sign up for this. You can't do it by mistake. Because you have to follow a very specific link to a very specific sign-up form and complete very specific questions. So, was it a mistake? And then we had some incredible folks come on. And in all seriousness, absolute kudos to the folks who are brave enough to sign up and come out. I mean, everybody on here has dating history. Who enjoyed dating?
no.
No.
I mean, technically, I'm.
Oh, Paul did. Paul's smiling.
Okay, in my
Mario?
teenage years, sort of. Yeah, all the other relationships I sort of like fell into, they weren't sought out. There was no dating. It was just, yeah. All of a sudden, hey, I'm in a relationship. Oh, okay, cool.
And 4 kids later.
4 kids later.
Dot, dot, dot.
I guess
I guess we're in a relationship. I'm just so impressed by the individuals that come out and they're willing to be vulnerable and they're willing to put themselves out there. And I have to tell you, when I kill my husband off, no, which I'm not going to do, but no, like every year he has a longer list of what he can get away with because looking at dating.
So when we see you buy new pillows, we'll worry.
Yeah.
Throw Mama from the Train. Do you remember that movie? John Candy.
No.
Oh, there's a moment he's with Steve Martin.
Billy Crystal. Somebody Google it.
It's one of
There's a team of autistics on here now. Come on. Don't let me down.
But anyways, there's a moment where like he's traveling with his mom and she's really just getting at him all the time. And there's a moment where he's traveling with a friend. And there's a moment where he's like she's lying down sleeping and he's trying to adjust a pillow and he picks up the pillow and he's like looking at it and looking at it, thinking about it. And his friends, don't do it. Yeah,
Smother Mama.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, Smother Mother.
Okay, so somebody's going to have the answer for that by the time we're done because that's how this team rolls. Speaking of watershed moments.
I have to Google it. It was Billy Crystal.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Good job. Actually, the winner. Yeah. Well, who was the friend?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I mean, don't try and beat me at trivia. I'm telling you, unless it's like obscure anime, I'm really good.
I'm pretty good at it.
Danny DeVito.
There you go. Okay, so speaking of watershed moments and pillow decisions, actually, Paul, can we? Actually, that is a watershed moment. What made you decide to be a Santa? This is an actual segue. Look at that.
Wow.
Look at us.
Thank you. Uh-oh.
I don't know. When my beard got white.
Valid.
When I hit my full height.
So how old were you when your beard went white?
It started in my 40s, late 30s, early 40s. It was starting to grow gray a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it was like an aha moment. We were, we were putting up the Christmas tree, and we have a Santa hat that gets thrown in with our decorations. And I put it on one time, and my beard was longer, and I just went,
Aha.
Yeah.
But you have to have an open mindset for that, right? Because I have a Santa hat as well. I have to tell you, at no point did I look at myself and go, look at you, go get some reindeer.
With the beard.
You don't talk about, hey, y'all.
So, okay, but here's the question. If your husband could rock a beard like Paul did and he was Santa, that could have made you Mrs. Santa.
I have a thing about facial hair. I like it on other people. I do not like it on my significant other. That's the only thing I have ever put my foot down as far as appearance or clothing or whatever.
I'm the reverse.
Yeah, under no circumstances is he allowed to grow a beard. He does that, there's body hair on me that's going to grow. Like, no, just no.
And maybe he'll be like, okay, I'm okay with the body hair thing.
He's not.
Maybe it's a way of unlocking it.
No. It's a sensory issue for me, legit.
Okay.
It's a serious sensory issue for me. I cannot stand the feeling, like if we're hugging, kissing, and having it. Like, you'll notice when I hug, I'm like, I don't like it. I don't like it. I love it on other people. Maddie and I have had numerous conversations about their beard, and their beard is magnificent, and I love it. Paul's gorgeous. I'm not married to either of you. last time I checked, we're not in a position for kissy kissy. So
Yeah, we haven't seen any pillows near us either, so we're good.
you're good. You're good. So Paul, you kind of gradually got into the whole Santa situation, and then I remember you saying at Level Up, which I love about you. Level Up is an event where kids, teachers, employers, and service providers come together and learn about opportunities in the trades, which is something that Paul and I do. And Paul, I slid the suggestion into the chat about Paul potentially showing up as Santa because it was the appropriate time of year. And he was masterful. And he looked at me at one point, and it was so sweet because we, of course, have individuals that come out to these events who are neurodivergent and still get super excited about seeing Santa. And this event is not a place where you would normally see a Santa. And whenever a kid would come up and have that look, you could just tell that Paul's bucket was like full for days. Am I wrong?
No, I get more of a dopamine rush out of it than the kids do. It's pretty special.
They're lucky to have you. Like, I'm glad you chose to move forward with it because they're lucky to have you. And you do a great job at it. You can tell that you love it. Would you say that doing that helps with the other aspects of life that are a little more challenging?
I would say yes, because it's very satisfying, gives me a dopamine rush. I love seeing the joy in kids' faces, um, even parents, like just that. I love that. The only stressful part of it is that it becomes uh, all encompassing. Like I'll get a ton of requests to do home visits on Christmas Eve, and I just won't do it. I don't do Christmas Eve visits. That's for my family. But I get so many events and so many other things that uh, are on top of my other work, right? So it's not like I take December off to do Santa. Santa stuff comes on top of all the other things going on in my life.
Mm-hmm.
But um, maybe in retirement, it might be more relaxing. But right
Can I be an
now,
elf?
Yeah,
I'll be an
it's
elf.
yeah. That's when the Santa Claus completely comes into play.
yeah, yeah. I'll be I'll have a TikTok channel and I'll be doing it
Yeah,
all year round.
and Tim Allen can finally retire.
Right.
That's getting a little, we won't talk about that. Anyway, because Santa Claus is one of my favorite movies. The first one, because it was filmed in Oakville, and that's
Uh-huh.
where I grew up and live. And so, yes. So, Sydney, when you look at your career now,
Mhm.
so Sydney's the youngest member of the team. She doesn't have any gray right now. So there's no,
Actually, I found a gray last week, but
oh, you're welcome. Okay. So
You're
Sydney
welcome.
doesn't have as many wisdom
my,
springs.
my mom's side of the family, they go prematurely gray, so stay tuned, I guess.
It's coming. So no, not as many.
We're gonna have
wisdom
the gray watch has begun. We'll just put a counter up after each episode.
So Sydney, when you look at high school and college and career choices and all that kind of stuff, because Sydney's an entrepreneur. So was there a point in your preliminary career where you went, you know what, working for other people isn't for me, or like what was your watershed moment around entrepreneurship?
I think it's interesting that you said so. I graduated from post-secondary in 2020. And to back up a little bit, I was supposed to do a mandatory internship with my program, in my degree program. And so I did an advanced diploma and then I did my degree. So I was in post-secondary for 5 years and studying Bachelor Administration, Human Resources. And my school actually offered us a virtual internship option. And
Sorry.
and so it was like a glorified group project, more like. And as a person that was studying human resources, and it's like, oh, that's the leader. I'd like to take the lead. I took the lead in that project, and they were teaching us, applying what we learned in our program, but in different ways to help solve a problem of helping older adults access the arts during COVID. And they also would do that. They also understood that some people might want to become entrepreneurs, and so they also started talking about that and that aspect that you can maybe start looking into. And that was really interesting how they were making us focus on what we learned in our programs, because it was like people in game design, people in interior design, like all coming together. There's just in my one group, for example, and how they also was like entrepreneurship could be an option if you're, in your you went to school, but you could start your own business, becoming an interior design business, have an interior design business, having a consulting business, making your own video game and things like that. So that was really interesting and kind of my first real when it came to entrepreneurship and maybe being a consultant. And so I was like, okay, interesting. But I still wanted that traditional experience, as anyone does in the career. And so then I graduated in 2020, December of 2020, and was actively going to webinars, and there was to go market myself, because I'm like, resumes I knew wasn't enough. So I had to network. I had the flexibility of networking from home, so I could go to all these different conferences online or webinars or see what was happening, and then go cuddle my dog after. And so we actually have an association called the HRPA, which is for HR professionals where I live. And they had a trade conference and they were looking for volunteers. I was like, and it was virtual. So I was like, yep, I'll volunteer. So that I volunteered to be a moderator for that event. And actually for a lot of times. And one of the people I was moderating for, he was doing a presentation and he couldn't finish the presentation. He didn't have enough time. And so he was like, can you collect all the emails of people on this call? There was 500 people on the call. But I was literally in my room at my desk. And at one point that's when I had a COVID puppy, named Oreo. I have a dog named Oreo. And she was lying underneath my feet. And I don't know how I did it. But I collected all 500 emails. And I was just I'm like, this is an opportunity. I'm going to take it to when I impress him, know I can lead. And so I did it. I sent him the email with all the emails attached to our Word document. And he's like, you actually did it? That's impressive. He was even shocked that I did it. And so didn't think much about it. And then he connected with me on LinkedIn, so then I can now have him in my network. And he actually reached out because he was planning to do a startup for an HR technology app, so people in organizations that don't have HR in-house, so that they can have an app instead. And so he's like, I would love you to come work with me on this project, and as to help me develop it, and reaching out to other students that might just graduated or still in school that want to do HR, but an interesting way of doing HR. And so I started working for him for that startup. And it was so much learning all at once, just like, this is in 2021. And again, it was just so excited, so eager just to have an opportunity and to get my feet wet, so to speak. And at the same time, he's like, if you want to keep applying for traditional jobs, I can now be a reference for you. You're doing great work. And so then I actually worked that summer of 2021 at a nonprofit. It was, again, remote because this is in the pandemic, which works for me. I'm still working remotely primarily now. And so I did that for 8 weeks because it was funded by the Canadian government, the Canada Summer Jobs Program. And I was an HR clerk there. And that was really interesting. And I was like, I'm passionate about accessibility, AOTA, those kind of things. And like, okay, great. Perfect timing, because we have to revamp this policy.
Yeah.
And so have at it, kid. And so that was a really exciting moment. And then the summer ended. I went back to the startup after working at that, because it was only 8 weeks. And at the same time, I was like, he had the CEO was working for the startup. He had so many great ideas, but the execution was really not the best. And so I started times like I was so passionate about when I was doing the aorta and other accessibility things at that nonprofit, and I was I was seeing more people wanting to do. It was when I started my business. I saw a lot of people weren't talking about the HR side of things and the lived experience of being neurodivergent, or what does neurodiversity look like in the workplace. And so that's how I started my business, and was like, oh, I can also consult on policies and procedures, or I can also do coaching, and it just kind of kept snowballing from there.
I'm messaging Paul while Paul is messaging me, so I'm I'm like, you need to pretend to look at the screen.
I was typing the same thing to you.
You were not. Liar. So that was passion driven, but it was also exposure driven, right? It was also that you saw what you wanted to do, but you also saw the way you didn't want to work.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe, I think that's one thing that I know as the three of us, so Maddie, Sydney, and myself, working with Employment Works, it's been interesting to see how people think they're going to get experiences without exposure.
Yes.
Like it's just going to magically show up for them or something. And you're like
even people I graduated with, they're like, oh, you're doing so many cool things. I'm like, I constantly put myself from the very beginning, and I still do.
Yeah.
And I knew, again, resume is hard enough, unfortunately.
No.
And really understanding that I was like, I did not go to school and I had to pay. So my parents paid for my advanced diploma, but did not pay for my degree. I had to pay a complete degree out of my pocket when I was working part-time in recreation. And I was like, I did not spend 20 grand for my degree to not get a job afterwards. It's not happening.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I think I could start my own thing to really do the work I want to do.
But that's a really important statement, right? Is that when you have work experience, you do figure out what you will do on the job, what you won't do on the job, what's the environment that, and honestly, folks, whether that's through volunteering or like whatever the exposure is, honestly doesn't matter. It's great if you're getting paid.
Yeah.
But from a decision-making process for big life decisions, it doesn't matter where it comes from. It comes from talking to people, and it comes from a whole. So, Maddie, you've had how do I describe Maddie's background? Zig, zag,
well,
zig,
it's
zig, 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 ziggity, zig.
Ooh, yeah, I think that's cool. You can do with things that because I didn't go to school. I just jumped in head first. Then got built a company and lost some zen.
We need to lose the music.
All right. Okay, sorry. You started with the beat,
I did.
Yes, okay. There's a song for every moment and a moment for every song. Yeah, it's in our family. I have been a serial entrepreneur, and it started when I was 4 years old with a lemonade stand with my sister. It continued when I was 11 or 12, and my sister and I made personalized calendars and went door to door to sell them. My parents were both entrepreneurs. And also accountants. Go figure. So I right out of high school, which I didn't complete, I took a year off to try to figure out what I wanted to do. I thought I was going to build an educational software company, that I was going to write educational software, bring Canadian history to life, and I started selling. I started selling educational software to people. I was very much involved in the homeschool movement at that time, and
the what? Sorry,
the homeschooling movement.
Homeschool movement.
Yeah, so me and my siblings were homeschooled partially throughout our lives. Um,
My mother would have ended my life if we'd had that arrangement.
I don't think. Yeah, I wasn't homeschooled, but my sister was for a bit. My brother was for a bit. But I got involved. I helped organize one of the first homeschooling conferences, and I wrote a database routine to everybody got to choose like there was like 5 different sessions, and they could only go to 3, and so I built an algorithm. This is in the early 90s to get everybody's choices put in place so that everybody had the choices. It was I love I learned to love databases and spreadsheets very very early on.
Don't get me started.
So
It's like,
right out of high school, after I was trying to, people were selling software, but their computers didn't work with it. So I would sell them. I'd either fix or sell computers. Got to do that too much. I took over our dining room, and then I decided, okay, I'm going to open a computer store and an internet company. So I started the first dial-up internet company in Smiths Falls, and back in 1995. And right when Windows 95 came out, I opened my store, and I did that for 3 years, and it was a great experience. Lost a lot of money. Realized after 3 years that I'm not making money, but I'm making experiences. And then
so that was sorry to interrupt, but that was a watershed moment all on its own, because
yeah,
part of a watershed moment is moving into something good, but also moving away from something that's not working. So
yeah.
at what point did you kind of go, okay, I love
I
it.
hired I hired a manager
Oh,
to deal with the front end stuff, so I could figure out the accounting and everything. And it's when I realized, oh, and it got to the point where I couldn't. Some big competition came in to bring internet. Couldn't compete with them, so yeah, I realized that it was a great experience, but I kind of needed to get a job, and so I moved back to Ottawa and uh, got a job in IT. Um, and within 3 years, I ended up working at Nortel, um, and I rode the high to where Nortel started going boom, and I jumped out, got hired by I got headhunted into another company, did that for 2 years until it went boom, got headhunted into another company, and then it went boom, and then I decided to open my own training company because I had very very niche skills that were very very high demand. I had a very bit of a Benjamin Button career. I started off like asinine amount of money, um, which most people get in their 40s and 50s. And my God, like looking at it in today's numbers, it just shake my head at how incredible. I learned skills really quickly, and then I see how things fit together, and I never just stuck with just doing what I'm. I don't like just doing one thing. I'll do one thing, but I'm going to learn about a lot of others. So how they fit together. So I was able to keep shifting and pivoting my careers until
from a watershed moment.
Yeah, the watershed moment. I realized that I had these niche skills. There are companies out there that wanted them, and I could make more money if I did it on my own. And I did that for a few years. Built a repertoire of a couple of things. Was sent traveling across the country to teach people these skills, and then I got sick. I got really sick, and everything
which
changed.
is another form of a watershed, right? So from a career perspective, it sounds like it was driven by one. Maddie's got an insatiable learning appetite, so that's kind of cool, and you love taking on problems and strategizing and working those through.
Yeah.
But then illness and injury, which I think we're gonna save that one for
and balance with family. Like
yes.
there was a severe imbalance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everybody on the podcast, I think that's just become another topic, has dealt with life experiences that have created detours. So I think we won't dive into that today because that deserves time all on its own.
It's a whole other.
It's a whole new world.
world.
Beat you.
Yes, but I put it to a beat.
Okay, what did we say?
I don't know what we said. I can't remember.
Sassy flakes.
Sassy flakes.
Sassy flakes? Oh.
We did not say sassy flakes.
No,
So,
we didn't, but-
Watershed for you was discovering that skills were in demand. That got validated, and it was not easier, sorry, because entrepreneurship is not easier, but it better served your life to let that employee expectation go. And
I
then
had a lot of interpersonal challenges working with and for people. That there was a lot of that.
created a moment on its own.
Yeah.
Okay. Because
There
Paul
was
was
a lot.
also an employee before he became an entrepreneur for a period. I think we've all had that experience where we've either worked with or for people that have not. I'm wearing a Kraken today. If you're watching the video, no, there's a point. It comes
It's a crack and
together.
lacking.
It's a Kraken lacking. So similar to everybody on the thing, I've had a very dogleg career. I have worked in travel and tourism. I've worked in restaurant and retail. I worked in healthcare for 14 years. And then I worked in volunteer management for 4.5 years. And then I decided to go back to school. And I got my postgraduate in corporate communications, marketing, and risk management. And my first job out of that was working for a local not-for-profit that was entrepreneurship focused and technology development driven. The challenge was the low functioning sociopathic narcissist who was the executive director. And I have spent, like Maddie, like everybody on the call, I can pick up a lot of skills very quickly. And Paul and I were at an event, was it last week? I think it was last week. And representing Canadian Association of Mold Makers and how we support that program is supporting neurodivergent job seekers. And this one guy came up to the table and he was really curious to talk to somebody with ADHD, which, pick me. And he said, "Do you have any problems with authority?" And
I'm a type 8. Hello.
Well, I'm a type 8 and I'm an extreme type A. And I went,
And ADHD.
Yes.
And
It's 8 ADHD.
like there's a lot of letters and numbers after my name. Some folk of a certain personality type may or may not have challenges working for stupid people. And I happen to have challenges working for stupid people. And if I don't respect them or they try to ask me to do something that violates my moral compass, I'm not great at doing that. And so my last boss, we ended up nicknaming the Kraken because she was something else. And she was boss number whatever in a long line of people who were dumber than a bag of hammers and, trying to tell me what to do. And that whole WTF face, I am not great at hiding that. I either have to leave the room, physically leave the space, or I have to do something to try and get it off my face. And in the workplace, people don't appreciate when "you are dumb" shows up on somebody else's face on a regular basis. It's offensive. And I didn't realize how much it was showing up. So this last boss was the deal breaker for me, was my watershed moment where I went, I have had enough of fixing other people's issues, of coming up with the solutions and then other people taking credit, like the whole shit and caboodle. That was 2013. And I started a business, MCB Communications, that focused on marketing and communications for healthcare focused businesses because that was I had 14 years in healthcare. I could talk the talk because I saw too many articles where people referred to it should have been vestibular and it was testicular and like it was, and those are not interchangeable terms. If you want to talk about testicles, that's fine, but you should probably not be talking about hearing at the same moment. So, unless you're hearing through your balls. The challenge was I couldn't grow the business because it was just me.
Yeah.
And marketing is always the first thing that people sacrifice when it comes to budget constraints. And it's the last thing that small healthcare practices or healthcare businesses focus on. And I struggled with this business for I had some really, really good years. Towards the end, I lost my passion for it and I lost my interest in it. And then my mom got sick. And I started Spiro. So at one point I was running 3 businesses at once. Don't do that, by the way. It's not positive. And my mom was in the hospital. And my friend had been telling me for about a year that I should give up MCV Communications. But I was so attached to it because it was my first go big business. And I had done a good job at growing it and whatever. But like Maddie said, family. And I remember standing in the hospital and we got some more bad news. And I have no idea. And I would love to invite everybody to think on this for a second. And then I'm going to ask you if it's ever happened. And it was all of a sudden like all the worlds in my brain collided. And I was at the top of the hallway in a public space. And I just started bawling. And we're talking like snot rocket heaving, like I was broken. And I looked at my husband and I said, MCV Communications is over. I will not continue to try and make something work that I can't make work, that I don't love anymore and whatever.
Yeah.
But it took that big thing for me to let it go.
Yeah.
And that was, so has anybody else on the podcast had that moment? And poor Paul's been so patient. So I'm going to ask Paul if he wants to jump in. Have you ever had that moment where like 5 things collide at once and it just becomes so crystal clear that something has to change? And you either have to let something go or embrace something about yourself or no longer accept somebody else's behavior, like whatever it could be. You had that moment where the universe kind of goes, I'm going to hit you now, sweet cheeks.
I think I'm one of those people that I don't, I got to be forced to let go.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't, like I worked at a company for 13 years and knew after like 6 or 7 that I should have got out. Could tell things were not the way they should be. And, I was the last one out the door.
What held you back?
Helping him close the business as everybody else was laid off and stuck around to help him out and everything. So it wasn't
to your detriment or?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Everybody else was, off getting work and I was helping him close the business. So, but it all worked out, sort of, but there's often times that'll happen. I think there was one situation I can think of where I was working for a software company. They ended up selling the business. They didn't need people that were in my position in the new business. But I was offered a position to stay on to learn commercial insurance, which is like it was the other side of their business, but not my background, and guaranteed my salary for a year, and here I am sitting in this room with a whole bunch of other insurance agents loathing the job, absolutely loathing the job. And because they guaranteed my salary coming out of a software fairly high up position, I'm sitting in this room making probably 1.5 times what everybody else in the room was making and not producing, and looking at this and knowing that, uh, I have to move on. And it took about 8 months. I finally backed out after 8 months, even though they were still going to guarantee my salary, even though it was 2008, when, the housing crisis blew up and all this
There's a
stuff.
huge economic uncertainty.
Yeah.
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 So I just couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't go into work and take their money for doing nothing. Not that I wasn't doing anything, but I wasn't producing because I couldn't do it. I just couldn't buy into it.
Yeah.
To their credit, like, they were excellent. They said, fine, work through Christmas, and then after Christmas we'll announce you're leaving or whatever. And they still gave me like 3 months severance to leave.
Oh,
So
wow.
they still paid my full 1 year of salary that they promised me. So it worked out in the end. I don't know if I had left after 3 months if they would have done something like that, but I hung on for far too long because it was really hard on myself, like because I felt like I was stealing from them for 8 months because I just hated the job. I couldn't pick up. Yeah, I couldn't pick up the phone to call somebody to try and sell them insurance that I didn't believe in, and so it was, that's probably one of the worst ones for me, or my mental health was terrible after that.
What was the point where you kind of went, because at some point something had to happen where you either self-talked or spoke to somebody and they gave you a different perspective. Like, there's all kinds of contributing factors to watershed moments. It's usually never solely us. Like, something externally triggers a different perspective where we go, enough's enough. Like, whether it is mental health, whether it is our moral compass.
It was a moral compass moment. We had a gentleman, I'll keep the story as short as possible. We had a gentleman who was a landscaper, and in the winter he had a snow removal company. And the insurance companies will not sell one policy that'll cover both seasons. They treat them as two separate businesses. So this guy was paying for a yearly insurance package for his landscape business, and he was paying for a yearly package for his snow removal business. He invested in GPS for his trucks. He invested in measuring devices on his salt, because he had to prove that he put salt down on certain parking lots and wherever he was doing this. Somebody tripped and fell in one of the places that he was doing snow removal, and the lawyers put forth a lawsuit towards him, the lot owner, and the store owner. He was so happy. He came to us with all this documentation and said, here's my proof that I put down this many pounds of salt at this time, just an hour before this person said they fell, blah, blah, blah. I'm not at fault. And the insurance company ended up settling, even though he had all this proof, because it was cheaper. They settled. So they settled for $10,000. So the store owner, the lot owner, and the salt truck owner, they all settled for 10 each. Person walked away with 30 grand. Then the insurance company turned around and said, you now have an at fault on your policy. We're upping your rates $2,500 for the next 5 years. So they paid out 10 grand. He had no say in the matter. He paid out 10 grand, and they collected 12.5 from him in overage fees over the next 5 years.
So they got their pound of flesh.
They absolutely. And I'm like, that's it. I can't do this anymore. This is just, I couldn't do anything. It was, it's just the way the system was rigged. So it's a long story, but that was the tipping. You were right. It was a moral compass issue, and it just,
I had one of those it was my first job with my postgraduate. So it was and I was supposed to be working under somebody to learn, kind of like Sydney in her internship, right? Where, they said it wasn't an internship. It was like a group project. The first day I arrived on the job, the Kraken advised me that she had fired the manager that I was supposed to work under, and I was now the new manager. No pay raise, by the way. I was now the new manager, my first job graduating. And by the time I got to the end, somebody pointed out, it was only a year and a half, the amount of damage this woman inflicted in a year and a half. I was wearing all black every day. And it was one of my friends who pointed out I was no longer wearing color to work at all. And I didn't even notice. And there's two last straws. One was there's a law out there, anti-spam law, which was new at the time. This was 2012, 2013, where you can't just solicit randomly, right? People have to sign up to your lists and whatever. And this boss said to me, I want you to start, like, basically roll these people from this event that we'd done jointly with another partner organization into our mailing list. I'm like, I can't do that. That's against the anti-spam law. Like, they have to agree to that. There's a process. And I went away for, I don't know, like 4 days, like whatever it was. Behind my back, she went to one of the team who was a spineless little person. And I come back and I check the marketing tool that we were using, and an email's gone out to this list. I was like, what the fork? Mm-hmm. So I went over to this person and I said, did you send that email? Oh, well, yes, the Kraken. She used her name, told me to. I said, okay. So just for curious, I said, what's your job title here? Well, I'm blah, 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 networking or whatever. I said, okay, what's my job title? Well, you're the manager of communications and marketing. And I said, so out of the two of us, who should have been the one deciding about that email? Well, that should have been you. And I said, so you had no frame of reference, no experience, and no right to go in and do that. Karen had already asked, her name's out. She had already asked me to do this, and I had refused because it actually violates the anti-spam laws. And you sent it from me. You didn't send it from yourself. You've now attached this to my reputation in the industry.
It's 10 a.m. It's time to stand up and stretch. Let's take a break for 10 minutes.
I need to remember this on Thursday mornings.
This is indicator we need to wrap up too. So
yes.
So I said, under no circumstances do you ever do something on my behalf with my name ever again. And then the next one was she asked me to lie to a community partner, project partner, and withhold funds and all this other stuff. And I was like, all right, I'm out. Like, I'm not, you want to engage in that kind of hanky-panky, like, you do you. But I'm not going to lie, and I'm not going to cheat people, and I'm not going to treat people like shit. Like, that's not going to happen. And that was the watershed for me. That's when I became an entrepreneur. And I was like, my moral compass has to guide what I do.
Yeah.
Has anybody had moral compass moments? What's created a watershed?
Yeah, well, I've had to leave a few working with a few nonprofits. I've had to leave a few boards because of what I consider unethical stuff. And like the biggest watershed moment for me was the car accident, right? Because it's forced me to listen to my body way earlier, and I now know, if I'm feeling stressed and really anxious for more than a few days, there's something pulling me away from my core purpose. I know what my purpose is. I know what my mission in life is. I didn't have that until the last 8 years. So I have to evaluate. Okay, so what am I doing? And sometimes it's like something might be it's not right for me right now. And if I let it go, intentionally, instead of like having it burst and break and pulling everything I'm doing down, I can leave it and move on. And maybe in the future that it'll be the right thing at that time. But my body's if I don't listen to my body, I'm out of sorts for everything for quite a while. And I don't want to do that. For my mental health, having things to do, I'm very physically limited. I'm very physically limited. And if I listen to my body, I can do the things that are necessary for me, but are also helping the world. So yeah, the car accident, it changed my life, and it's focused me in on the advocacy and the disability justice stuff. That, like, I know if I stay in this area, I'm fulfilled. I feel like my place in the world is the right thing, and I have to be so careful not to take on too much.
Yeah. And Sydney's in a similar position where they can get triggered
Yes.
when they don't listen. Has that discovery of a chronic illness or chronic, you use the language because I'm not using the right language.
I use the language chronic pain.
Chronic pain.
And so I was volunteering with a grassroots organization, and I took more like so we put on a march every year, and I was taking more like the behind the scenes and like administrative, like set up all the meetings and who we need to network with and get funding and get donations and all these things. And there were moments where my chronic pain would be really bad, or my mental health would be not the greatest, but I felt like I had to push through because everyone else I was working with in the grassroots organization also had disabilities. And so that was really interesting because I was like, and I would push myself, and was also working on my business at the same time, and also doing other things and doing other volunteering, and I like to be busy. And so I would make mistakes sometimes because, again, I'm only human, and I kept pushing through, but then I started making more noticeable mistakes, but instead I was attacked that because most of the time I didn't make mistakes, but again, I'm human, I'm gonna make mistakes. So when I did make those mistakes, and I would be ridiculed for making those mistakes. And that was very frustrating. And I was one of the leads. We had two leads. I was one of the leads, and then the other person was another lead. And I knew, so I lost my nana last year. My granddad is not doing well right now, and he hasn't been doing well since when Nana was not doing well either. And so all these life felt like a lot, and I was trying to push forward, do what I have to do, just show up every day. And then so it's going to be a year in a couple of weeks, and there's something that happened and it was like a completely mental health moment, and then I felt all the pain seeping back in, and kind of like, I was so passionate about disability justice and disability rights, and I'm doing that for my business, but also doing it for this grassroots organization. And I feel like the lines kind of got blurred for me because I was doing both so much, and they were like my two main identities, and I was really latching onto them. And so something happened, which I won't get into detail, but I had to step away, and it was done in a very public manner with the rest of the organizing committee. And I realized afterwards how much I've been suppressing when I've been all my pain, or when I have mental health, both chronic pain flare-ups and mental health flare-ups, sometimes called. And that was really hard to learn and to know. And then also my partner was like, he's like, what you think is best, and he wants me to believe in myself and to do what I think is best. But when that incident happened, he was like, okay, where do you want to go from here? Right? Because I could have taken a break from the grassroots organization and returned when I was ready, or just completely stepped away. And he's like, you can return if you want to, but I really think you should just be done with it now. Like, you did amazing with that grassroots organization.
Yeah.
You did what you could, but I think it's time for you to step away. And that was so hard because I put so much time and so much energy, and I felt like I found a community that I've been looking for, but and he really
Sometimes
had,
that betrayal makes it really hard to.
and how people, like you were mentioning about how people were treating me. I was like, it's fine, and then it was like, the way this person's been treating me has not been great this whole time. Spoiler. And a week
Spoiler
later,
alert, shithead.
Yeah, sometimes you have to
actually,
step
then a
away
week-
to realize the things that were in front of you.
Oh,
yeah,
Me 2 years.
and I was because I want because like I talk about disability inclusion, I talk about neuro inclusion, and I was like, I think I want to focus, like, obviously disability inclusion and neuro inclusion is so interlocked with me, but I really want to help more neurodivergent job seekers, and like maybe that's something I could explore. A week later, actually offered me a part-time job to work with Sparrow under the Employment Works program, and so it felt very. And yeah, when we've been telling my partner, he's just like, "See, that seems more up." He's like, "This is the new path."
Exactly. Now that you've joined the Riff Raff, right?
And I tell stories to him still about Team Sparrow and or antics that we get up to, and he's like, "Yeah, much better."
And we start pretty much. Thank you for that, Sydney. I appreciate that very much. And I think watershed moments are that moment where the universe collides and goes, okay, either you need to say yes to something if you've been hemming and hawing, and like, it doesn't have to be big to be a watershed moment, but the watershed is a moment where you change a direction or a situation in your life. And sometimes, like Sydney has said, it's a huge struggle. You've invested time and energy either into a relationship or into something that you've built or whatever, especially as an entrepreneur. If you're, sorry, I got to stretch my leg.
It's because we're
if
old.
you're building a,
I'm literally stretching my-
watching the video, you're going to see me yanking my leg up and you'll be like, what the hell was that? It's that time investment. And it's that moment where you separate yourself from the investment. And I had to talk to myself about the fact that it was not time wasted. It was time spent. And what did I learn from it?
Mm-hmm.
I invested way too much time in a relationship that everybody was telling me to end, not a personal one, a business one.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, like, part of the thing that drives Paul is you want to help people who need helping.
Yes.
And instead of inviting them to help themselves, you pour yourself into them and go, I can't let you down, and I know you're struggling, and da 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 da. And meanwhile, you're going
Story
down.
of my life.
Oh yeah. My mental health took an absolute, and I've been public with it. That particular relationship made me suicidal, because I couldn't separate myself from the investment that I'd made and the amount of time and energy and resources I'd poured into a person from moving on being the better choice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that we wanted to share, that, is there any correlation between it being harder for neurodivergent individuals to move through watershed moments? I don't know. That's something that we could explore.
Yeah.
We're just over an hour, so I'm doing that whole wrap up thing. ADHD, I will say, I have more and more information's been coming my way about having a really strong social justice, injustice meter. So I would say on some level, maybe it can be harder, because if something's not fair, it's really hard for me to let it go. It's really hard for me to let it go.
There's rigidity and getting stuck, but also core beliefs. And that's a similarity between autism and ADHD.
I agree. And I think, going back to that throw mama from the train, it's that whole being able to put the pillow down.
That should be the title of this episode. Put the pillow down.
Pillow down. What was that, Paul?
Owen! Wasn't his name? Wasn't that she used to yell at him? Owen?
Was she the woman from Goonies?
Yes, I think so. Yes. Oh, I love
You know,
Goonies.
that voice
Which, of
is
course,
like screeching in my head right
is
now,
in our
which is part of our thing.
yeah.
Yeah, so I think we're inviting you to realize that, one, if enough people are telling you something, it's time to consider that maybe you're having a watershed moment. And if you need support, ask for help, because they can be difficult to navigate. It's taken me months to get through one thing, because I didn't realize the extent of the damage that had been created. If you're working in something that's not working, and bravo, Sydney, for recognizing that, don't take shit, man. Somebody's treating you like
I
shit.
did though.
What's that?
Like, but I feel like I feel like I did put up with some shit, you know, but didn't realize that I was putting up with said shit.
I know.
It's like, it's so frustrating.
We can only
No, that's
see the
good.
wake.
So what did you learn?
You can only see the wake after the boat has moved.
T-shirt.
Church.
T-shirt. But what I'm trying to do now is get my hands off the pillow and go, what am I better for because of that? What have I, because I could continue, and it does still hit me, right? That little ball of, damn it, because I lost 2 years. Yeah, I lost 2 years of where, you know, my company could be much further ahead because of those 2 years. So don't get me wrong. That torques my chain.
Yeah.
But what have I learned?
Yeah.
I've learned better how to stand my ground. I've learned better how to, you know what? At the end of the day, pardon my language, folks, it's my fucking company. People can have a voice. They don't necessarily have a vote, and I have to be okay with that. You've learned, and I've seen it, because I love when my team advocates. I love when they tell me I'm either full of shit or they need something different or whatever. And it happens. It's fine.
Yeah.
Be human.
Exactly.
Most days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Other
Then
days.
if you're full of shit, you just got to change your diet.
Huh?
If you're full of shit, you just have to change your diet.
Oh, we're working
T-shirt.
On that. All right. I have somebody waiting here that needs to see me, so I'm gonna have to disappear like Paul's beard.
Chunks of Paul's beard. All right. So Maddie's you're gonna say goodbye. We're gonna wrap this up. So thank you, Maddie. Appreciate it.
See you, Maddie.
Bye-bye. Find the leave button. There we go.
Story of my life. That's a good way to wrap it up. You need to find the leave button. That's what watershed moments are about. Is finding another T-shirt. I'm telling you, man, we're gonna have so much to wear at the conference. It's gonna be great.
That's what I was about to say. I was like, I think to wear these all at the summit.
Seriously, find the leave button.
Just put
Can I have the T-shirt that just has the leave button on it? And you guys can all say, find the leave button.
Do we get to push it? Hey.
HR. Oh, wait, that's
yeah. Oh, by the way, go talk to Sydney if there's an issue with me touching your leave button. Oh, that was not appropriate. Anyway, so we're wrapping up, folks. But what we want to share is that just about everybody has those moments where we have to make a hard decision, whether we're taking on something new, whether we're letting go a relationship that's not working, whether we're letting go a work situation that's not working. And we want to make sure that you know there's support there. And yeah, it sucks. And yeah, it can be hard. And yeah, it can be scary. And you know, like Paul's journey into becoming a Santa, I'm sure that wasn't an instantaneous thing. Because that's for you, especially having such a big heart and that character being so important, you would want to do it right. So taking that on would be a challenge, and walking away from a not-for-profit where it aligns with your values and it aligns with what you want to achieve, but you got to create boundaries about how you're going to be treated. Like that's another huge, it can be hard to see when it's time to have those moments. But sometimes when we're listening and we're open-minded, the universe comes together and gives us that collision where we're like, huh, okay, it's time. Again, whether we take it on, whether we leave something behind, we've got to take a moment to listen. Listen to our bodies, like Sydney and Maddie said. Listen to our heart, like Paul did with moving forward with Santa. Listen to the evidence. Listen to the voices around you who are likely telling you something needs to change, which took me a little bit to do. And then move through it. You'll see the wake at some point. Thanks, everybody. Anything else? Any other words of wisdom we want to cram into that?
I'm good.
I'm good. I'm solid. Thanks.
Thanks for the free therapy.
Anytime. It's what we do. Thank you, everybody. We really appreciate you listening, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Hey, this is Elizabeth Blue from Spiro, Canada, one of your pirates on the Riff Raff podcast team. My fellow pirates include Maddie Dever from Autistic Bridge, Sydney Elaine Butler from Accessible Creates, and Paul Coleman from Creation Designs, who is our very own Arctic LARPing Santa. Thank you for joining us on the Neurospicy Seas, and we wish fair winds to you all.